Actually, I do have a question, Per, but it just arrived. Or maybe this is a comment which says that monthly calculation procedures are not suitable to judge overheating or ventilative cooling.
I fully agree, but this is a discussion that we continuously have with the Energy Agency about this suitability, and I welcome everybody who can convince them that it's not a suitable methodology. I've tried, but not been successful so far.
Okay, thank you, Per. So there is another question that arrived right now. So the question is, did you take into account the risk to rise the latent energy level with natural cooling in the summer?
Sorry.
Do you want me to repeat?
No, I can see it in the. I can actually see it on the text, so it's fine. I think the humidity level in Denmark is quite low, so this means it's very rare that the outdoor humidity level will give a problem on the latent or the humidity level. So it's not a big problem in Denmark. And if you look at the hours, I can see when you mentioned the hours of overheating, it is only during occupied hours, but we consider the occupied hours in residences to be 24 hours a day. So this means it is you could say during the whole time. Then the next.
There is a last question, I think, Per, for you.
Yeah.
I can read it to you, or you can just. Okay, so the question is, you mentioned that the regulations require that you demonstrate that the building remains within a certain temperature range. Is this pushing designers towards using mechanical systems in order to meet this requirement?
Yes, you could say in a way it is, because many designers find it much easier to design mechanical systems and to prove that their solution is within the limits required. Only a few designers want to take the risk of designing a passive building and based on natural ventilation or natural night cooling, and ensure that the temperatures can be kept within in the range. So it is certainly a requirement that are pushing towards more mechanical systems.
So I think we have another question, Per. Thank you. Why is there not enough guidance for natural ventilation?
I think it's a question of it's a matter of tradition. So this means we do have many designers which have designed ventilation for buildings for many years, and there is a you could say a reluctance of taking in new solutions. But I think it will be changing in the future. Last year we made a new Danish ventilation standard, and in this standard we actually made a combined standard for mechanical, natural, and hybrid ventilation. So I think the awareness and the use of these technologies will increase in the future, because now there is a common, you could say, regular or standardized framework for applying and designing these systems.
Okay, thank you, Per. So we have another. It's more like a comment. So it would be a challenge for the Annex 62 project to perform some studies to demonstrate that monthly procedures are not reliable.
Yes, this is a part of the work. We are doing some, you could say, exercises where we are applying different types of models in order to use them for predicting overheating risk and cooling need and so on, in order to identify, you could say, what is the capabilities of the different methodologies and which should not be used and which should be recommended for use. So this is part of the work.
Okay, and there is a last question that arrived in the chat. So, the average monthly calculation does not represent enough the dynamic problem of overheating. Can you explain more your difficulties?
Yeah, well, it is simply that you could say, if you look at in many cases, at least if you look at I think the mean monthly method can be used if you have a consistent cooling need. So this means in the peak summer period, it's probably not that bad. But it's especially in the spring and the fall where we might have a cooling need during daytime and actually a heating need during nighttime. And there, the mean monthly method is simply, it's impossible to you could say, distinguish between these, because the mean monthly method in a way averages these situations. So, and even though we have this, we have in the mean monthly method a kind of factor to take into account the thermal response of the building, but this does not work when we have a situation where we go between heating and cooling within a short time. It's yes. It was a little bit complicated explanation, but I hope you understand.
Thank you, Per. I think we have another 2 minutes for another question that arrived, which is whether outdoor air pollution can be a break to natural ventilation. For sure, in city areas, it is a barrier for the application of natural ventilation. Sure. So this means if you look typically, if you look in city centers, the application of natural ventilation is rarely in you could say the lower level floors. But if you look at high-rise buildings, it's typically used for floors. You could say maybe from fifth, sixth story and up, where the pollution level is less. Okay, thank you, Per. I don't think we have more questions, or maybe there are another. There is a last one. Steady state versus dynamic simulation modeling, how close are these to measure data in Northern and Southern Europe?
Sorry, Maria, I didn't understand.
Yes, so how close are, so the question starts like this, steady state versus dynamic simulation modeling, how close are these to measure data in Northern and Southern Europe?
Steady state.
You can see the question in the. It's the last question we have. It's in the end of the list. So steady state versus dynamic simulation modeling, and how close are these to measure data in Northern and Southern Europe?
I don't think steady state calculations can be used when we are talking about cooling, and this is actually what I also mean by this mean monthly method, which is a kind of steady state calculation, although there are some correction factors to take into account the dynamics of the heat loads and the thermal capacity of the building. So I don't think steady state calculations are very useful for cooling purposes. So, but dynamic modeling, I think performs quite well. If you have the right input conditions, then they are quite reliable.
Okay, thank you, Per. And I don't think we have more time for now for more questions to Per, but we can ask him later on.